How to create content so repelling that clients will want to chase you and pay you for your product or services. Now, this might sound very contradicting, but in order to be magnetic, you need to also be repelling. You cannot attract everyone and make everyone love you. People will fucking hate you. So let's focus on making people hate us, and then the magnetic group will be attracted to us, and that's the people that's going to be paying us. If you don't know who I am, I'm Ajane, also known as AJ. I've helped Nero build this channel to over 400,000 subscribers. I've generated over 300 million views for all of my clients, over 1 million followers / subscribers for all of my clients, plus over like $2-3 million generated in client revenue. With that being said, let's get into the video. Hopefully you lot appreciate the artwork, because it took me about 2 minutes. I was thinking, what should I even draw? Should I draw like a credit card? Maybe I should have drew magnets, you know, when magnets repel each other and like they bounce off or whatever. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, in order to be repelling, the first thing that we need to do is, hopefully I spelled this right, my spelling ain't the best, is have a contrarian take. Now, where most people go wrong is they force a contrarian take. They look at what people are saying and say the opposite even though they don't believe it. What you need to be doing is really deeply analyzing. You can actually probably use Claude for this at this point, but deeply analyzing people in your space, in your niche, what they're saying, what their typical beliefs are. But then also, if you're on Instagram or whatever and you have DMs and people are messaging you and you're having conversations, look at what they're typically saying. Look at their typical beliefs. If they believe it, chances are other people also believe it, which means if you say the complete opposite in your content, you will get their attention because you're challenging their current belief systems. It's very contradicting. Plus, this is going to make you repel the people that fucking hate you. Because let's say there's group A, right? And there's a bunch of people in group A, and they're all saying, you know, this is the best way, this is the way that you need to do it. When they see your content, right, and they see that you're in group B and you're by yourself or with very few people, and you're saying, nah, don't do A, you should go do B, they're gonna be like, oh man, what the hell, fuck this nigga. Or the people that actually have that super strong belief that, you know, it just can't be broken because you're actually challenging their cognitive bias or cognitive dissonance, I should say, they're actually not going to watch the video, or they're going to watch the video and potentially leave hate comments or share it with people because they're going to be like, look at this guy is just, is not even right, he thinks he's right though. And that share is super important. That's going to push you out into the algorithm. That's going to push you to their friends. Their friends are going to share it again and again, and it's just going to get cycled around. Having contrarian takes is a must. And I noticed this with one of my recent clients, Sasha. She had a contrarian take to avoid surgeries for your fibroids. If you don't know what fibroids are, I still don't fully know, but hey man, it's a female thing. That's all I know. It's a female thing. She says to avoid surgery for fibroids. Now, the typical notion is if you have fibroids, you just have surgery, get it removed. But it can grow back. And when she realized that it can grow back, and it actually has happened to her, then she was like, avoid surgeries because it's not going to work. She found an alternative method that reduces or shrinks it without surgery. I think that's really sick, and that captures attention. And she did that in one of her videos, and it got over 100,000 views, which is fucking amazing. And I said, if it's worked once, do it again and again and again. Like, just because it's worked once doesn't mean you can't do it again. There's going to be a bunch more people that will be interested in that topic that has just never seen that original video, and they probably never will. So just remake it again and again, slightly different angle, and go again. Same negative stance or same contrarian stance, and go again. Now, hopefully that all makes sense. Essentially, just go in your industry, go in your niche, look what people are saying, see what you actually believe, super important, and then say the opposite. Now, the second one is very close to the first one, is have a polarizing take. Now, you can have a polarizing take without actually being the opposite. You can have a polarizing take without having a contrarian take. For example, I could believe that I'm sure there's more people that use iPhones, right? Or it could be 50-50. Like, as long as it doesn't have to mean you're in the minority, essentially. I could essentially say that iPhones are so much better than any other phone out there, especially Androids. That's a polarizing take. Anyone that's got an Android there, you're watching this on your fucking Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra Super pen thing, whatever. You're gonna look and be like, nah, this guy's violating. He said iPhone's better. Do you know what my thing can do? Do you know what my thing can do? Da 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 da. And you keep going. I could say that Mac is better than PC. Oh, people are gonna be like, oh, but really and truly, it's probably 50-50. I'm pretty sure it's pretty even, or maybe Apple actually does take the slight lead. But hey, who's counting? You know, who's actually keeping score? Essentially, say what you want to say with chest. In the UK, we say chest. I don't know if you guys say that in America, but say what you want with no take backs. Don't hedge. Just say it, stand on one side and mean it. And like, say it confidently too. So imagine there's two sides to a beef. This is a line in the sand. You can either be here or you can be here. The worst position you want to be is here. It just makes you untrustworthy. Imagine you have a friend, right? And you say to your friend, you hate this person. Like, they did you dirty, they did you wrong, they did whatever. And your friend's like, I've never met this guy, but he seems cool. And now your friend's defending the guy that you hate. You're going to be like, bro, you can't play both sides. You can't play for both teams. There's no one that's been on a football field in a professional match and played for the first team and then played for the other team in the same game. It just doesn't happen. That's like halftime Ronaldo going, yeah, I'm swapping shirts in the El Clasico. I'm no longer playing for Madrid. I'm going to play for Barca. Or Mbappe doing that. It literally just, it doesn't make any sense. You can't fucking do that. You have to be on one side and you have to play for that side full-heartedly, full force. But you have to show up for your team, bro. But you have to decide what team that is. Now, number 3, and this is where a lot of people go wrong. I actually want to say I've created something called the super niche, right? And essentially it looks something like this. There's 3 circles. The first one is your main niche. The secondary 2 and 3 is your interest and your hobbies. So imagine this being an interest and this being a hobby. And then this being your expertise. Now this is super important. Let's say your expertise is, let's do Nero for example. Let's say it's manifestation or spirituality. I say manifestation. I say his hobby is, it's just normal stuff. You could just say reading, TV. His interest, to be fair, hobby and interest, sometimes they're interchangeable. Let's say his interest is spirituality or ancient spirituality. Now that you have your super niche, you're able to actually repel other people but attract the right people. For example, if people are not interested in reading and you constantly talk about books and they're not interested in spirituality and you're constantly talking about ancient spirituality, they're not going to be interested, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? Same way, if I keep talking about tech and I keep talking about football, but you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to football. Yeah, you still might watch because the videos are pretty valuable. But if you know football, you're going to be like, this guy's sick. I like that analogy, or I like that reference. That makes complete sense. I understand it now. And that pulls you closer to me. While other people that don't understand it or potentially hate football or hate tech or hate TV shows that I'm talking about, they will not want to watch. And you could also be polarizing on these takes. Like, let's say Nero's reading a book. You could be like, don't read that book is shit. Like, read this book instead. That's polarizing, because some people will be like, no, that book is good. I really love that book. That changed my life. He's going to be like, no, that's shit. Like, just be polarizing in everything that you do. You do not want to be hedging. So that's number 3. It's kind of a mix of number 2 as well, because you're polarizing within your super niche. It's essentially expressing your interest in your hobbies in full effect. Like, if you like playing football, if you like tennis, if you like basketball, anime, it literally could be whatever. Be polarizing on those takes, but also find ways to incorporate your hobbies and your interests inside of your expertise. I did this with Gavin, another one of my clients. I was like to him, what's your hobby and what's your interest? He chose money and traveling. Ironic, just typical. Hey, everyone loves money and traveling. Why not? But his main expertise was manifestation, but he never actually spoke about traveling in manifestation, or he spoke about money but never had dedicated videos to money for manifestation. Yeah, it was just, to me, it was mind baffling, but to him, he's never really thought about it or even perceived it. So he just never did it. So once he did that, his video actually went, like, his first video with me hit, like, right now I think it's probably on like 80,000 views. But that video was instantly 1 out of 10. And then from then we rode the momentum and it was just amazing. He gained over 100 paying community members, started his high ticket offer, and the rest is history. By the way, if you are a business owner and you want to sign more clients using content, build a content ecosystem, build a personal brand using Instagram, YouTube, there's going to be a link in the description to work with me. It's application based. Put in a good application, and if I like it, I guess I'll reach out and contact you. Now, we can move on to number 4, because number 3 was pretty self-explanatory. Hopefully that makes sense. In fact, I'm going to do one more so it makes 100% sense for you guys. Let's say in the middle is your super niche. Let's do someone random, someone that doesn't exist. Brad. If your name's Brad, shout you out. So, as you already know, this is your main thing. This is your interest. And this is your passion or hobby. Let's say Brad, his main thing is fitness, right? This is a broad umbrella term. Your offer could literally be anything within fitness. Could be losing weight, gaining muscle, whatever it may be. But use the umbrella term. So your main thing is fitness. What does Brad have an interest in? He has an interest in cars. His passion and hobby is, if you have multiple, put them down. Let's say it's reading, but let's say it's also traveling. What's another hobby or passion that people have? Let's say it's horses. I don't know why. Maybe it's even space. It could be anything. Just write those down. If you have multiple, write those down and find ways to incorporate them into the video. Now, a good example or random example off the top of my head for Brad. Let's say he's making a video about fitness and he wants to incorporate cars into it. A simple thing you could do is record a video in the car. Just because it's your interest doesn't mean you typically have to talk about the interest inside of the video. You could just be showing the interest inside of the video. So recording inside the car, people will know that, oh, I know that car. This is a XYZ car, it's a BM or it's an Audi or whatever it may be. His ends of cars, people might start commenting and you go back and forth. Another way you can put fitness into cars, it's, let's say you wanted to do a challenge. Instead of driving, I walked everywhere, here are the results. Simple. Now you've got a challenge video combined with your interest, and you're going to be talking about, you love your car, you drive this, blah, 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 but this week you walked and how many steps you did, how much weight you lost, etc. That's genuinely a fucking cool video. You could do it the exact same with cars, but do it with reading, traveling, horses, etc. Just get really creative with it, essentially. Now, number 4. I don't want you to treat number 4 like an afterthought. I think I got the most results once I implemented this. And I actually got this from Tom Noski. So shout out Tom Noski. I joined his program, I think like 2 years ago now. This was one of the first things he taught, and really, really good. If you want to grow your personal brand, if you want to attract the right people, repel the wrong people, get the right people that's going to pay you, the right people that's going to refer you to other people, even though they don't fucking really know you. This is what you need to do. You need to find out your ideal viewer. Now, a lot of people will do, their ideal client profile and then just create content off their ideal client profile. Wrong. What you need to be doing is find your ideal viewer. Your ideal viewer sits within your ideal client. So whoever your viewer is, they will potentially also be your ideal client, but not 100% of the time. So you could see it almost like a funnel. The big side is the viewer, and smaller within the viewer is your ideal client. Now, how the fuck are we going to do our ideal client? The best way, single-handedly the best way to do this, and as soon as I did this, I got more views on IG, YouTube, everything. And it's something that I keep saying this. I said this in my last video. I don't know which order it's coming out in, but I started doing well for my own personal brand, and then I started ignoring my own advice. And since I started doing that, things took a momentum slowed down. And I realized if I go back to doing what I was doing, it's gonna fucking work. And this was one of the things that I was doing. I started doing what everyone else was doing, ideal clients. Let me just focus on my ideal client instead of my ideal viewer. Now, what can you actually do for your ideal viewer? The easiest thing that you can do, get a document, get a Google Doc or whatever you want to write on, do it on paper. I always do things electronically just because it's easier to save, never lose, etc. Get a document, write down character 1. But write down a name. Let's say I think I named mine Sarah. I did 2. So you're going to do character 1 and character 2. I did 1 as a boy, 1 as a girl. I did Sarah and like Johnson or something. I feel like I was going to say James. Essentially, what you want to do is, there's 2 ways to do this. The first way, 9 times out of 10, your expertise in the product and service that you're selling is because you're solving a problem that you previously encountered. So if you're solving a problem that you previously encountered, you're basically talking to a previous version of yourself. If you're talking to a previous version of yourself, you can personify your own story, give it another name such as Sarah or Johnson or whatever name you want to give it. And then once you do that, you can detail that story from beginning all the way to the end. Go in depth as possible. This genuinely could take you an hour. And once you go in depth, you'll realize there's talking points that you can address. The anxiety that you felt when you was younger, the lostness that you felt, how you currently feel, how growing up was like. And this might feel weird. Genuinely, you might be like, but people ain't going to be able to relate to me. You know, I'm fully different. I'm unique. I went through experiences no one else has been through. That may be true. But people will relate more than you think. They will see your experience and directly relate, or they will be able to relate it to a different or similar experience that they had. And that builds a deeper connection with your audience. That also gives you more views, broader topics that you can talk about. That helps you never run out of content ideas. That helps you not stay stale with your content. And typically what you find is your ideal viewer will sit inside of your super niche too. So like the hobbies that you had, the interests that you have, the expertise that you're talking about, your ideal viewer is interested in pretty much all of those. And the reason this is so important and so crucial and useful, and even Tom Nosky said it, he said it when he was doing his live lessons, he would find that he was so dialed in on this viewer that like 90% of the people that joined thought about taking part in an Ironman or have already taken part in an Ironman. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those. I'm getting into running now though, so like the endurance stuff, I'm really into that. But 90% of the people were interested in that. And that wasn't a coincidence because he speaks about that. He talks about relating that experience back to content, back to business, back to life. And because of that, those type of people are interested, or at least people that admired that about him were interested. And I was one of those. Another thing that you can do is just personify a story. If for some reason that you're not fixing a previous version of yourself and you're just an expert in something and you've learned it and now you're teaching it, write down, find someone that was your perfect model client, someone that was literally perfect, that you helped perfectly, that you would want to help again, and you personify their story from start to finish. And through that, you'll have multiple endless ideas, things to talk about, ways to connect with that viewer that you wouldn't even possibly think about doing before. That's genuinely some sauce. That changed everything about the way I create content and everything. So if you found this video useful, I would say you watch the next one that pops up on screen. It is probably going to be just, if not even more useful. Peace.